right, we're rolling. Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to Wholehearted, episode 7 now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's amazing we made it that far. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, especially after that first one.
Oh,
I mean,
rough.
It was so brutal. I went and watched it. I made myself watch it just because I figured, hey, we're trying to learn. So
Yeah, it's good to go back and just to be able to. Well, there's a branch there. I might even just hang my. It's good to go back and just kind of reevaluate and see what progress you've made, what changes you can improve upon. I know I've been getting good feedback from a few of my friends, and it sounds like you've been getting some good feedback as well. So hopefully we'll keep that coming and keep on improving and making this even more solidified.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's actually, I think I watched the most recent episode and I thought, even in 5-6 episodes, we've learned
Yeah,
a little bit. I think there was maybe for me there was more value in the last episode than there was the first, just because of how we're learning. So
yeah, I think that's true. I wanted to make a quick shout out actually to Bo Morley.
hey,
Yeah.
I saw his comment.
Yeah, so we're getting some people that are actually starting to follow us and give us a little bit of attention and support. I think is really the most important thing. We're being supported in this, and that's wonderful. So thanks for the support for anybody who's already signed on, and yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to keep it coming and give you something even better each time.
Yeah, and we're definitely open to your suggestions on topics and ideas. Obviously, I'm a therapist as well, so if you guys have specific questions about things related to therapy, those are always things we could begin to include in the podcast, because it's going to be directly related to what we're trying to do with the Wholehearted Living.
Right.
So
we were talking about it on the way up the mountain a little bit. The topic that we've kind of decided upon is about freedom, and a couple different reasons for this, but the main one is yesterday. So at the time of filming this, it is June 8th. Does that sound right? So yesterday was the 75th anniversary of the D-Day invasion on Normandy. And at work for me, I was at a little company meeting. We were having a little outdoor get together and a luncheon, and our CEO decided that it would be great to celebrate and to honor those that fell in that battle and even fought in that battle. The thing that we did was to put a flag up and to do the Pledge of Allegiance with each other, along with having a moment of silence. And I was telling Ty earlier, I haven't done that in a long time. I don't really have reason or cause unless I'm a part of some other organizations that has facilitated that. And it made me start to question things about, like, what is patriotism? What do I need to do to kind of adopt a more patriotic approach and way of living, and to really find greater appreciation for the country that we live in? So that's one type of freedom, is the freedom as we know it, the way it relates to patriotism and our country. But more than that, we talked about a few other types of freedom. One of them being physical, the freedom that you can find,
physical body, being
Right.
able to have choice and being able to have our health and to be able to choose to come up and do something like this. That. And then of course the other one that we talked about was how to find freedom in relationships, and then also just in life,
Yeah.
Not the kind of patriotic freedom, but just freedom from the things that hold us down and keep us bound. And I think we're going to talk about the patriotic freedom in an upcoming podcast.
Right.
And just a couple of ridges over from where we're at right now, it's probably 2 miles from where we're at right now, there's a flag up on the mountain that's about a couple miles or a mile and a half up. It's been there for a long time and it's been tattered and torn, so I think we're going to go round up our kids and take them up the mountain, and we're going to replace that flag and maybe even retire the old flag.
Which is pretty cool. I actually was amazed that it was one of your daughters that thought of doing that in the first place, to show some reverence and respect for the flag. That's
Yeah.
That's not where my mind was at when I was that age.
Me neither. I was probably too tired when I was at the top of the mountain even thinking of anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So speaking of being too tired when you got to the top of the mountain, let's talk about freedom, the physical kind that you can gain through exercise, through eating healthy. Like what I know that this is something you've been pursuing heavily right now in your life, right?
Right.
So what are you doing?
Well, yeah, so my most recent thing is I just read a book called The Brain Warrior's Way by Daniel Amen, and now I'm like just hammering my family with everything that's good for their brain.
Which is true. We just got back from Walmart, and the things that he was saying, like, let's play a little game. What's good for your brain? Not that, not that, not that.
Pretty much 90% of things in Walmart aren't good for your brain, by the way. But no, one of the reasons why is because I'm 40 years old now, and I'm already 2 years into a hip replacement. I have been a little bit overweight, which I don't mind the weight part as much as the health problems that go with it.
Right.
And recently I was listening to this book, and he was talking about our brain and the health of our brain and how it relates to our whole body. And then he started talking about Alzheimer's and how head injuries affect Alzheimer's, but also how our nutrition and exercise affects Alzheimer's. And I have two grandparents who had dementia and Alzheimer's, and the statistics that they're finding is that if we'll take care of our brains and our bodies, we will significantly, up to 60%, decrease our chance at Alzheimer's, which by 85 is 1 in 2.
Dang, I didn't realize it was that high.
Right, and so that kind of scared me, because I was thinking, I'm the kind of guy who has the genes that last till I'm 90 and fall off a cliff, or, you know, that's the only way I'm going to go. And if I have Alzheimer's for 30 or 20 years, my poor children I'll probably kill them before I die, just from having to take care of me. So that was part of it. The other part is that this hip replacement, I realized the value of my health and how depressed I get by not being able to make those choices and to use my body in the ways that God's designed me to use those things. So that was one of the reasons why I've been so big on it lately. And what I do right now is I'm working significantly on changing my diet. I recently, just this week, and one of the reasons why I thought of freedom in our bodies was actually because of the slavery that I've been feeling the last week. I tried to stop drinking any type of caffeinated beverage, and you guys, like, I know the whole world is like hooked on caffeinated beverage. I think Coke is like the number 13 product consumed in the world.
Oh man. So
we're all addicted to caffeine, but I've been trying to come off of it, and the fog in my head and the headaches that have been with me especially for the first couple of days have truly been like almost debilitating at times. And I just was thinking about the slavery that, you know, what would happen if some natural disaster or something occurred and I couldn't get myself to Maverick, you know, or I couldn't get to Walmart to get the drink packets full of caffeine again, to get my, you know, whatever I drink. Not only would I be dealing with a natural disaster, my body would not be able to function properly, to think clearly,
right,
to even move around and even work properly physically, because at times I almost had to stop and like take a nap midday, you know. And
I've actually experienced something kind of similar, but with sweet tea was my choice.
I love sweet tea. That's my favorite drink.
so good. I'd just sit there at the hot dog stand in Florida making Arnold Palmers and sipping sweet tea every day, man.
Right, and because it's so like enjoyable in the moment, eventually what we end up doing is we end up enslaving our bodies to these things, whether that's sugars or other things, and then we go and we mistreat our bodies on the back end, and we don't do anything active. Yeah. And so we're sitting in this sedentary lifestyle, we're consuming a ton of sugar, we're feeling really terrible physically, which leads to us feeling terrible about ourselves, and we think we should be exercising and we're not. And the statistics on pretty much any study about mental health or addiction or whatever you want to look at would say the very first thing you need to do if you've got depression or anxiety or an addiction is build into your life a regular exercise program. So for me, it's been the way that I'm looking to eat, getting off caffeine, and right now it's physical exercise. And what I do for exercise is just really coming out here almost every day and trying to see how high on the mountain I can get before I have to turn around and go to my cubicleized office before we get set up with the outdoor office here.
Yeah.
You know, pretty soon
Right.
my office will be somewhere right up in here, and I'll just hike up and do my appointments online. So.
That's gonna be great when we have that set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about winter time in Idaho, and this is the first time in my life that I've really experienced this, because I was growing up with the sun, but not having daylight last as long throughout the winter in a place like this, being farther up north in Utah and Idaho, and where Chelsea and I live, we spend a lot of our time at work doing our regular 9 to 5, and during the first year of living up in Idaho, I really struggled emotionally, because I was experiencing a lot of time inside, and then it'd be dark, and where typically I'm the kind of person that likes to get out, go for a little bike ride, go for a walk, that was kind of closed off. And not that you can't do it, it's just that winter and the cold, I mean, it gets pretty dang cold up there, all the snow, the icy sidewalks, and not really good for biking. So there's a few things that I still hadn't adjusted, and it basically meant that I didn't do anything physical. I'd go to work, spend time there, come home, and it's dark outside, cold outside, and I'm watching TV or spending time working on projects, but inside and not doing anything physical. And that was probably the hardest winter I've had so far. It brought me down emotionally, felt physically I was getting chubby and feeling lethargic a lot of the time. Yes. And there was just so much that tied together, and it was hard.
It's really difficult, and then your mental health suffers, and then it all kind of wants to just all dissipate together.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we're talking about physical health and the necessities for the right kinds of foods and our exercise, but as you're talking and sharing that example, it's also that idea, if we're talking about freedom, thinking about sitting in an office, especially in the winter time, you're under that fluorescent light, maybe in a cubicle. A lot of us work in an office or a really small size space, and there's almost zero freedom in the way that we go to work.
Right.
In the way that we live our lives. We go from one box into a car that's a box, and then we go home to a box and turn on a box. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, where's the freedom in that? And it takes real intention, despite all of those elements, to actually get yourself out of the box and go experience what this world really has to offer. And maybe not just in the form of nature like we like to do, but
right.
in other things that get you out of the box.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One of the best things that I did this last year, winter came on, and I decided I live close enough to work. It's only 2 miles away. I'm gonna ride my bike, and I love riding my bike.
Winter.
Yeah,
in Rexburg.
Idaho Falls, same difference. It was really hard the first little bit when the temperature dropped. And actually, real quick story. It's not even winter time yet. But it is starting to get where it's below freezing. I'm riding my bike. I'm not thinking anything of like bad road conditions or anything. No treachery yet. And as I'm riding my bike, I get to this one intersection. I look, I cut across, and I get onto the sidewalk, and I notice that the sidewalk looks wet. And just that morning, I had checked to see, and wouldn't you know, it was below freezing. So what happened was this shop had turned on or left their sprinklers on, and it just kept on layering and layering some ice. I didn't know it was ice.
It just looked like wet sidewalk.
Yeah, it just looked like wet sidewalk. So it was not in my mind. I hit that ice, and as soon as I touched it, I had the moment in my head where it's like, oh crap, it's below freezing. What am I doing? And I hit it, and I just slammed. It was like a slingshot right into the ground. I slid probably about 5 feet, went into the grass, which was razor sharp, had a bunch of, it was frozen and brittle. And so when I got up, my whole side was really sore, and I had little chunks of grass that had sheared off. Shards. Yeah, that were stuck in my clothing. And I was thinking, man, if this is the entry, the welcome into winter riding, I got a few things to learn. So but you know, going back to the joy of it though, for me, a lot of people would say when I was at work, wait, did I see you on your bike? What are you doing?
It's freezing.
It's freezing. You're out of your mind. It was so valuable for me to do something physical daily that would help me get my body moving, get some blood flowing and my heart pumping, and even some sweat. Man, I smelled bad every day. I'm sure my coworkers didn't quite appreciate that element of it.
Stick a deodorant on your desk.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, Chelsea, I tell her that I have a stick of deodorant at work that's for my friend. She's like, I know it's for you. I'm like, yeah, because I forget every morning. But anyway, it was so valuable for me, and I actually think that something like that, if we could figure, instead of it being hop in a car and drive, if there's a way for you to work in some element of your commute is a physical thing, try it, give it a shot and see what happens. Even if it's, you know, driving part way and parking and then walking a mile of it or something, you know, something along those lines, because it helps.
Some type of activity. Or I know I've seen you, I think it's in your office, you've got some push-up bars and pull-up bar, and I think I've even seen a video of you doing those things.
Oh, you've definitely seen a video of me attempting to do those things.
So something like that might be helpful. Yeah, I work next to a guy in my morning job. He's really into physical fitness, like too much, over the top. And
okay.
when we have little lulls in like the amount of package volume that's coming down, I look down the belt next to me, like right down like 10 or 20 feet from me, and I see this guy on the ground doing push-ups. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I gotta keep my sweat going. Like, this has gotta be a good workout for me. I'm like, more power to you. Right?
Yeah, really.
I mean, 3.5 hours of loading boxes.
That's not
isn't
enough. All
so
right.
He's dedicated, but there is something to that where we could all make it a little bit easier on ourselves by choosing to do something a little bit difficult in and out of our day with that physical help. Even, I didn't mean to today when we went to go look at trying to buy the flag we're going to put up there, but I just kept missing parking spots, and we were out at the very end of the parking lot, right? Those few extra steps, actually, they might add up.
Who knows?
Right?
Who knows? We don't know.
You know, we live in this world where we go to Walmart and we buy a whole bunch of high-calorie foods that don't produce anything for us, and then we decide we're still hungry, so we get in our front row parking spot and we drive to the back side of the parking lot, and we go to KFC through the drive-thru, of course, because we don't want to get out of our car and walk in to get fried chicken, right? And unfortunately, all too often, that's the American way, and the American way is not, it's not sustainable, you know. So,
and it doesn't provide real joy and freedom either.
That's the thing, is it's the freedom. And people would say, well, I have the freedom, like that's why I do that. You know, I remember a couple of 4th of Julys ago, I was off soda. I don't drink any carbonated beverages, and that's been going for several years now. A few years ago, we were at a barbecue with my brothers, and of course my brothers had filled up a full cooler full of like just every drink you can imagine, right? And I sit down on the deck with them, and one of them hands me my favorite drink, which is Dr. Pepper. And he's like, have one, Ty. Like, I'm like, I haven't had soda in like 3 years, guys. And my brother Brandon, who some of you guys know, he goes, what the hell is your freedom good for if you can't have a drink when you want one? So of course I relapsed. I ended up drinking 12 that day, which was terrible. I felt so sick afterwards, but in his mind, that's freedom.
Yeah.
Right? And the freedom to choose is always there.
Right.
But does it lead to a life of freedom?
Right.
And the truth is that if I'm drinking 12 sodas a day, sitting on a deck, and just telling myself it's my choice and I'm free, then I also have to choose the sedentary life of addiction and lack of health, which then prevents me from doing everything else I want to do.
So we've talked a lot about some of the elements that are the negative side, probably because we've spent most of our time
climbing
there.
out of it right now.
Yeah, we're trying to get out of that. Right. So what is the joy of it when you do have that freedom? What are some of the moments that you've experienced where you're like, I am so grateful that I didn't drink soda for 3 years so I could feel this, or what, you know, fill in the blank.
Yeah, so one of the benefits for me now is the reason I stopped drinking soda is because my 8-year-old daughter could beat me in a foot race. Okay, so
I mean, she's fast.
She is really fast. She's really fast, but come on.
Yeah.
So So now I can at least hang with my daughters in a short foot race.
I'm just envisioning, I remember a picture of you where you were a little bit thicker.
40 pounds, I was 40 pounds heavier.
And you had a beard and you looked like a different man. You looked a little bit bigger. And whenever Chelsea saw that video, I think she like chuckled out loud. It was like, oh no, what? That's tight. So anyway, I love thinking about that image.
So that was slavery. When you can't even beat your own daughter in a foot race that's 8 years old. And so I decided to stop drinking soda, but now I can run with my daughters. We can get out here and climb to the top of this mountain. I mean, I was breathing hard by the time we got here, but it was the kind of breathing hard that felt good.
Right.
And we can turn around and we can look out and see, you can't really see it today through the trees, but see the landscape and feel the breeze and just feel that sense of accomplishment. That's one benefit.
Right.
Of course, all of the regular health benefits. You're going to lower your medical bills on your dentist and on your, your diabetes medicine and your heart medicine and your pills to get an erection because you can't. All of those things add up financially and health-wise. But for me, I experienced some of this week, towards the end of the week, after trying to get off this caffeine, is I had little moments where I had pure clarity in my thought. Almost as if I had an added measure of the ability to receive, call it revelation.
Yeah.
And to feel like I'm now treating my body as an instrument. Of course, it's still a work in progress, and it will be for a really long time, probably forever, but to feel like I'm now using this gift in a way that can be pleasing to God, and in doing so, it also builds my confidence. And the confidence isn't about the weight loss, it's about the knowledge that I'm treating myself like I matter.
Right.
Right?
That does make a huge difference. I've even noticed that in some of the things that I've been working on my own time, the goals that I have set right now. I mean, you saw the video of me trying to do a pull-up. It's because I couldn't do one, and now I can do 4 actually. So I'm making progress.
You're on your way.
Yeah, it's something that I'm spending my time doing, and I noticed that when I do commit to those goals and do the goals, that the other things in my life seem to fall into place a little bit more smoothly. One of them being clarity of mind. I've noticed that this project that we're working on, Love Strong, that we've got a lot to figure out. There's so many things that we need to decide what types of content we're gonna have, what types of information is valuable to even share. The things that we feel drawn to. There's so many things that we have to figure out and decide. It takes having an active mind that is engaged and
it's clear.
Yeah. And I've noticed that as I've worked on these other parts of my life, the physical parts, riding my bike, doing the daily push-ups, doing yoga a few times a week, that those things have contributed to me overall feeling more connected to the work that we're doing and coming up with those ideas and feeling and inspired.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I agree with you. I've noticed the same things.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the benefits, and most of us live in a cloud that in such a way that we never get to see or feel that until we've climbed out of it and we see, oh wow, there is so much more to my brain and to my life and to my feelings than I thought there was.
Yeah,
So,
I was just thinking, I've never gone to come away from Golden Corral or Chakarama and been like, I've got all sorts of ideas or things that I want to do, ambitions. It's the opposite.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the only thing you can think of is a nap.
Yeah.
If you don't have to stop at the bathroom first, right?
Yeah.
But I love it. I mean, it feels great.
It does.
It's satiating.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, you're right. I totally agree with you. So I think we ought to save the freedom in relationships for another
I think that's
podcast.
a great idea. Yeah.
But I just kind of want to ask you guys who are watching and listening, what are you doing for your physical health and your freedom right now? What works for you? And what are the benefits to the things that you're doing in all things other than weight loss? So call that a wrap.
I feel good about it.
All right, guys.
All right, see you guys next week.